Hey, good morning, friends. Sandy Fernandez here, president and founder of Karmic Currency, the energy behind business and finance. Today, we are bringing to you Chris Colston of Second Chance Credit. Chris has been in the credit advising industry for over 19 years. And what I love about Chris and what I'm really excited to share with you is that Chris is a credit advisor. Very, very different than a credit repair company. Credit repair companies have notoriously bad reputations. And when you do credit advising, it's a lot different because, again, what I love about Chris is that he is actually able to look at your complete picture, look at everything that you're doing, and be able to truly give you the best and strategic advice, not only to help you fix your credit, but to help you minimize your debt, raise your credit score, and truly improve your overall relationship with money, with credit cards. Money should not be something that we are afraid to talk about, right, Chris? So
Yes, and we're very afraid to talk about money, Sandy. And one of the main reasons we're afraid, what I've seen and done data analysis of, is that we learn money from our parents, right? So we learn the money management from our parents. But here's the thing, Sandy, who's teaching our parents? No one,
did you
right?
read my book? Did you read my book?
I follow you, girl. I follow you. But who's teaching our parents? No one. So a lot of us here were immigrants. So we're learning from back in the day lessons. So when we come to the United States and there's a new ball game, I'm from Nicaragua. You know, we don't have credit over there. Everything is purchased with cash. So I remember my mother coming over here thinking that a debit card was a credit card. So she thought that she was generating credit with a debit card. And
Yes.
when she went to go apply for a loan, they told her no, Sandy. And it was really like, who's teaching us? There's no education of this in school, Sandy.
You know what? And it's so true. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that because, and it's funny because Chris and I, we were talking right before we started recording and we were talking about, you know, how long we've been in the industry. You've been doing this 19 years. I've been in banking 22 years and we were talking about the recession. But I remember, and I know that most times when I tell people how long I've been doing this, they don't believe me because I look so young.
Right.
But when I started in banking back in like 1996, which is really when I started as a teller, the debit cards were just rolling out. So this same exact thing happened to a lot of our elderly customers, the same thing that happened to your mom. I would have clients come in and they're thinking that they had a credit card and all of a sudden their checking accounts were overdrawn. So there was really truly a very big gap in understanding in what the basic difference is of a credit card versus a debit card. And then it was heartbreaking because a lot of these elderly clients, they're on fixed income, they had their social security, they, you know, were using this money and now their account is overdrawn and they're crying at my desk. And, you know, it's very sad. And you're absolutely right that we learned this from our parents, which is
And
huge.
what about the overdraft fees now that they're being charged? So that $4 purchase now became $34 purchase. So how we're saving money? So who's gaining from this? Where's the advantage of no teaching?
Right.
The advantage is, Sandy, this is when I do a lot of presentations, I literally start my presentations by saying this.
Yep.
The United States of America runs on debt.
Yes.
So if it runs on debt, why are they going to teach us, Sandy?
You're absolutely right.
They lose money by teaching us.
You're absolutely right.
That's what they're going to teach us.
No, it's true. When I was at the bank, I mean, part of my role and part of my job was to do financial literacy. And I would go out to the schools and have conversations with students, with seniors. And a very, very big topic, which we can just kind of jump on, is student loan debt. And student loan debt is ridiculous. Now my kids are 18 and 20 and their friends are going to college. The boys are starting to go to college. And the first conversation I had when my son came over with his friends, as I sat them down and I said, listen to me and listen to me clearly. I said, student loans is not free money. Okay. You do not take a student loan, a Stafford loan, or whatever it is for $2,500 and use that to buy a new car, to get a, you know, to buy clothes. You have to pay that back. And I know that you've seen it as much as I've seen it. I saw a girl who I just helped. She's an attorney. She has $222,000 in student loan debt. $222,000.
And thank God she's an attorney. I have a client right now that she has $140,000 in debt. She went to a private school, right? A private university around the corner. And now she works a 9-to-5 job, making $60,000 a year, and she owing $142,000. She will never be able to repay that. But you know what she did was she just started. When she needed to make any purchases, she used her student loan because they made it so easy, Sandy, to tap into it. And then there's nobody there telling you how that works.
Yep.
Either the counselors or people in that industry telling you how it works, because nobody's training them.
Yep.
So if nobody's training them, how can they provide you the info?
Yep.
So
most times people repeat that cycle. So if someone is telling you that you should borrow, just use your student loan money to do this or to do that. But no, the reality is that they made that same mistake and now they're teaching you the wrong way also. That's not the right way. But I want to jump into really quick talking about student loan debt and the new CARES Act and all the new laws that have been passed right now. So there is some advantages and some reprieve for those people who do have student loan debts to take advantage right now of the deferment of zero interest. What are your thoughts on that right now? What do you think is the best way for people who have student loan debt to leverage this moment?
So the student loan debt, it gets a little tricky. And when I have a consultation, when I do them here in my office, or I'm doing a lot of them now by Zoom, when I look at the credit report, I tell people, don't look at just a one payment of $500, $400, $300. Don't think it's one payment. Don't think it's only one loan that you have there of $50,000 or $100,000, whatever it is. It's actually multiple loans, Sandy, that sum up to $50,000. So the problem here goes that if you missed a one payment, you're not missing one payment. You're missing one payment plus 5 other or 10 others. So this is the trick. This is why I tell people, look at your credit report, because there's a mother company and the mother has home as a little kids. So when you miss the mother payment, you're missing the payments also with the kids. So one of the things I advise my clients, Sandy, is to look at a credit report, even financial advisors. So when I do a lot of partnerships with financial advisors, I tell them, I'm like, don't just go by what the client's telling you. Get a full credit report so you can see it, because then you can pick and say, okay, I want to pay this one off first. I want to pay this one off first, because you want to eat up the lesser amount so you could start the snowball effect.
Exactly. I was just gonna say. So I'm like have this bizarre love-hate relationship with Dave Ramsey, who talks about the snowball effect. And when I started watching his videos, and I actually subscribed to his YouTube channel, I'm watching him and I'm like, I've been talking about that. I always told my clients that when I was at the bank, start with the smallest debt first. Number one, because it's the easiest to tackle. And number two, because it's gonna give you a vote of confidence. It's gonna make you feel good that, oh, good, this is done, this is over.
It's an accomplishment, Sandy. It's an accomplishment. You feel good, like you finish a task, you got an A, and now you're like, okay, let's go to the next one. It's momentum. Exactly. One of the things that I always tell my friends, 1 will always be greater than 0. But people always try to get this big macro picture, but you need the little micros first. So those little micros, and right now they're offering the 0% interest rate. You can literally, if you're salary based, you still have your job, you can still operate. This is a time now that you can literally start just taking care of a lot of debt. So you can take advantage of paying off the principal.
Yeah. And now let me ask you, when kind of talking a little bit about credit. So let's say that I have, 4 credit cards, and I have, one which I owe, the littlest one, I don't know, let's say it's $800, $1,000. Once I pay that one off, how do you think that one payoff impacts your credit? How much does your credit, I know that there's not an exact number you can give me, but based on your experience, how have you seen that that's impacted people's credit in a positive way by just paying off one credit card, even if it's a small amount?
Here's the thing, Sandy. This is going to get a little bit confusing, what I'm going to tell you. And it does get confusing. So there's different type of strategic approaches when it comes with credit and finances and debt reduction, like you know. So when I sit down with a client, I sit down and ask them, what is your immediate goal and what is your ultimate goal? A lot of my clients will be like, I want to raise my credit because I'm applying for an SBA loan, or I'm applying for a mortgage, or I'm applying for an automobile loan. I'm like, okay, so we need to increase credit. There's some people be like, Chris, I just want to reduce debt and pay the lesser amount of interest rate. So Dave Ramsey also talks, go after the biggest interest rate. And I do agree with him there, but it takes so long. If that big interest rate has a big balance, it's going to take you so long, you're going to lose motivation.
Right.
So what I tell clients, if you want to increase your credit score, just make sure that each credit card that you have is at a 25% or less of the credit limit. So you're going to gain maximum points just from doing that mathematics.
Okay.
So, and by paying it off, también you're going to get some points, anywhere around 10 points, something like that you're going to get from paying it off. But also you're going to get the same thing by lowering to 25% of the credit card. But if you do the 25% rate, then you can use the extra money to bring another one down to 25%, because it doesn't have to go to zero to maximize the points.
Got it.
It's a whole different spectrum to see what the client needs and wants.
Got it. So what you're saying is that, yes, ideally we do want you guys to get out of debt, and we do ideally want everyone to, you know, be debt free. I mean, that's, and have good credit. But strategically, for the purpose of raising your score, it's not about having cards at zero balance, but it's actually about your credit usage. So for example, for the people watching, just to make it kind of simple, if you have a credit card and you have $1,000 available credit, or the credit line is $1,000, then what you want to have is that credit card right around a balance of $300 or $400 that you've used on the card. You don't want to have $1,000 credit card and have it maxed out at, you know, $800-900, because that tanks your score.
Yeah, and it tanks your score big time. You can actually lose 30 points. And what I go here, Sandy, and I love the math that you just gave, the 30 to 40%. I actually go a little bit more aggressive with the clients, and I tell them, do not go over 25%.
Wow, that is very aggressive.
Yeah, so pretend that $1,000 credit card is not $1,000. Pretend it's just $250, and they're like, okay, Chris, how am I gonna remind myself of that? So there's a great app that I love. I have no affiliation with them, but I just love them to death. Mint.com.
Oh yes, I have Mint.
I love them. You could put there, you can say, okay, let me know when I reach this certain type of limit, and let me know. So you put some barriers so you don't overwhelm yourself.
Yes.
Another thing here, Sandy, that I tell all my clients, and when I do a lot of speaking engagement, I actually end my presentation with this, and you actually touched upon it. Debt will always be the killer of all your dreams. Debt will kill all your dreams. I don't care what dreams they are, they will be killed by it. Because debt, what happens with debt? You cannot maneuver. You're literally overweight. And if you're overweight, you're not pivoting. You're not taking advantage of situations or opportunities that are rising up.
Right.
So the best way to stay out of debt is to literally purchase something, pay it off right away. Or if you're going to carry debt, let's say, okay, not in a perfect world, let's say you're going to carry some debt, only carry 25%. Okay. If you can only carry 25%, it's a lot easier to get out of debt of 25%, Sandy, than 100%.
Definitely. Now let's touch on that. So when we talk about carrying debt, right? And I think it's important that we talk about that right now, because what we're seeing right now in this particular situation, like we were saying, it's a global, you know, issue that we're having. But in the US, as we said, we manage credit very differently. So there's people right now who are struggling really because they're up to here in credit card debt. But what happens is when Chris is saying, and you know, I'm trying to kind of articulate what you were saying, when we're carrying debt, we also need to understand the difference between credit card debt and installment loan debt, which is your car, your lease, your mortgage, when you buy rooms to go furniture. These types of loans, you can essentially say you're carrying this debt but this debt is over a certain amount of time that it's determined and set up for you to pay off. So these loans, these types of credit features are designed for you to have an end date. So you know that at the end of 5 years, my car is done. Your credit cards are designed to just keep going up. Like you will die, bury me. You know, if you like rap music, when they said bury me inside the jewelry store, no, bury me with your credit card debt, the statements, the credit cards, throw them in the coffin because they're going with you. Because even after you die, they come after you. Your estate, they are relentless.
Yeah, and it's something that we can get out of hand, and we need to know, and we need to educate more customers. And one of the things that I had a young lady, Sandy, about 2 years ago. She was about 31, 32, very successful. She came to me. She's like, 2 years ago, I had $40,000 in debt, and I was able to get out of it. I was like, wow, amazing. I'm like, 2 years ago, you have $40,000 in credit card that you got out of it in 2 years. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, she's making a lot of money, or she just ate ramen noodles for 2 years, And she's like, actually, no, I refinanced my house. I pulled some money out and I paid it off. I'm like, okay. The refinance of the house, lower interest rate. She has some equity. I'm like, okay, that's fine with me. But I'm like, so why are you here? I didn't understand the reason why she was at my office. She's like, now I have $60,000 in debt. She went through a break.
I can't tell you how many times I see that. Oh,
and you know what happened? You know what happened, Sandy? She went through a breakup. She wanted to sue herself. So she bought. But then after I look at the credit report, I'm like, how did this person do this, right? Because she had 40,000, now she got to 60. So she increased 20, but how did she do it? I look at it, she had 8 credit cards, open and ready and available, maxed out. And I told her, I'm like, let me give you an example. Let me tell you what I see here. I bet before, because I saw the open dates of a couple of credit cards. I'm like, 2 years ago, you only had 4 credit cards. And then after that, 2 years ago, then you opened up 4 new ones, right? So I'm like, this is what happened. You had 4 amiguitos, little boyfriends that you were flirting with, right? And you maxed out at $40,000. Now you gained extra amiguitos, extra little boyfriends now that they gave you more credit. So now you got more in debt. You literally just suffocated yourself. So to tell you why I'm telling you that story is one of the advice I give my clients is do not have more than 3 credit cards, maximum 5, Sandy. 5, I would say.
5 is a lot.
I know 3. I love 3. If you can do 3 good ones, I will love you. You have 3 credit cards, your mortgage, your automobile, kiss it goodbye.
Good.
And if you know how to manage those 5 items, you're going to be well. 5 is a little too rough, but then I don't want you to close some old credit cards. We got to see how we're going to play that game. But if you could do 3, you're going to be golden. And just get the right 3 credit cards, with nice credit limits that you can manage and you can pay off. But at that's how you're going to get the high credit score, Sandy, because now you don't have too many things open. Because like an ex-banker of you, like you are, if you see somebody with too many amigos or too many sources that you can tap into, that person is too dangerous.
It's called risk exposure, credit exposure.
Yes.
That means that you have access to too many lines of credit.
Too much firepower.
Yes, and it's funny because last night I got a text from one of my old clients at the bank who I'll never forget came in to me one day. And he's an Argentinian client, very affluent, very wealthy, owns countless amounts of property. And he's like, I want a line of credit for $1 million. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, can you do it? And I'm like, of course I can do it. I'm the money angel. I can do anything. Give me a minute. So I did all my magic, and I couldn't get him the $1 million, but I got him $850,000 in lines of credit. Okay, across all these boards. So he messages me last night and he goes, hey, are you still doing loans? And I said, yes. And he goes, okay, I need some money. Call me tomorrow to talk. And I was like, what did you do with all your lines? He goes, no, it's there. He goes, I still have available lines of credit through the bank that I gave him $850,000 available. And now he wants more. I'm like, ay, Dios mío. I'm going to call him after our call. So God only knows what he's going to want me to do now.
But you know what? And that person right there, if he still has the money, he's responsible. He knows how to manage money. So he's not that much of a risk. But if you have 10 credit cards that mil pesitos, you don't know how to play this game. I don't know how you're going to repay this back.
Yeah.
So, and this is why it lowers down your credit score when you have so many things open.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I tell people, 3, the banks will love you. You will always be out of debt. Manage that 25% or less. Do not buy something that you cannot pay off at the end of the month. You know, I have a friend that's a financial advisor, Sandy. He's extremely OCD. So he's literally to the right. What he does is literally he will purchase something. He'll go to the store, purchase something. As he's walking out of the store, because he'll purchase it with his credit card to gain points. As he's walking out of the store, he pays off the credit card.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but he's like that, I'm never, ever, ever in debt. And I'm like, how do you develop that? And he goes, 10 years ago, I got into a really bad situation. And I said, I'm going to go all the way to the right. Mm-hmm. And just if I'm going to use my money, I'm going to play the game, but I'm going to play it in a way that I'm not going to get bit again. So he knows himself. And I really appreciate it. I was like, you know what? That's great. If you know yourself, you know your patterns, and you could be able to fix them, incredible.
Now, I wanted to circle back because I don't want to forget to mention what you said earlier about the girl who refinanced her mortgage, paid off her card, and then she had double the debt. So it's very, very important for people who are watching, and I know that you have these conversations too because I've had them also with clients, is that when I have a client sit in front of me and we're exploring options to pay off debt and to, figure out how we're going to, unravel this financial mess that you put yourself in, and the option to grab some equity in the property, refinance, pay off debt makes sense for them. It doesn't make sense for everyone, but it could make sense for a lot of people. I am very, very cautious to have a conversation, and I get really preachy and almost like a lecture to tell them that they need to understand that when you pay off your debt, the purpose is to keep the credit cards at 0. Do not, because now your credit cards are at 0 balance. And now you're like, oh, mira, my credit went up. And now I have, this. So now you walk back into Macy's or Victoria's Secret or whatever your favorite credit card or whatever it is, your favorite store. And you're like, I really wish that I could buy this. And you're like, oh my God, I paid off my credit card. I can buy it. And shoot, and you swipe, and then you're in the hole again, 2 times the amount of what you were originally. So I think it's very, very important that when, if this is kind of your situation and this is something that you're entertaining doing, that you really have a very strongly worded conversation with yourself as to what this really means for you and how this could be a negative future impact for you. And if you're the type of person, like you said, that's irresponsible with credit, then maybe we should leave your house alone and just figure out how to pay this.
It goes back again, Sandy, to needs and wants. And let me tell you, everybody has needs and everybody has wants. Mm-hmm. You and I right now, we cannot be hypocrites. There's things that we own that they're not needs.
Yeah.
They were just straight up wants. And I tell all the people, I'm like, don't look at me here. I have an expensive car. There's needs, wants. I understand, but know what that relates to. Do the budgeting. I think right now, budgeting in this reset that we're having with the coronavirus, budgeting is key. And I don't care if you're making $400 a week or you're making $100,000 a week. The more money you make, the more money you spend. Everybody's spending money. We need to budget. And I've been doing a lot of things. I'm going to bring out some budgeting videos soon as well.
Good.
There's people that they want you to be within 70% of your income as your expenses, and then to have 30 as disposable, paying down debt. Mm-hmm. With this reset, if we can go aggressive, I'd say let's do it. If you can live with a 50% of your income, that will be amazing. I actually, one of my mentors, and this really bothered me that I could not achieve it at that time. But he gave me this nugget, and I want to share it with you and your audience. Is he told me, he goes, Chris, if you can live off the lowest income, that's the one that you want to live off. So if your mate, let's say, it is making $40, $60, $80,000, right? And that's the lowest income, budget yourself around that income. And the big income is for saving, for investment, for doing a lot of things. So the reason why I'm telling you this, Sandy, right now is that if we're going to reset and we're going to start over, let's start over with the right tools, with the right mentality. Let's use this reset. You know, and I know people are going to tough times. You know, we're going to tough times. We've seen a little decline in our business, but how are we going to use this reset?
It's true.
To start the good patterns. Because like you said, if we don't look at internally, ¿por qué están pasando las cosas? The patterns are going to keep on going.
Yeah.
And we're going to end up even double worse.
It's true. It's true. And this is why I really love so much what I do, because when I talk to clients, I talk to them exactly about this. Money as an energy. And right now, people are starting to have to reflect on their financial situation. Now that basically people are being laid off, everything is shut down. So you can't essentially spend any money right now. There's nothing that you could do. All you can do is pay your bills and maybe order some stuff on Amazon. But truly, you can't go to the mall. You can't go shopping. You can't go anywhere to spend money. So right now, people are really starting to deal with the repercussions of their poor financial choices. And when we start to look at why we've put ourselves in these situations, we can start to see the energy and the relationship that we have with money. Why? For example, that girl that you gave the example of, and I actually told a story like that recently about a woman that I had, similar situation. I don't even know, it might be the same person because she was here in Miami.
Bien bonita. I'm like, what are you going through all this stuff, girl?
But the reason that she did it, and she was carrying over this credit card balance. So I'm talking to her and I'm going through her energy, you know, that I work with the chakra energy. So I connect all of that to, you know, where it is hiding in your body. And she had this one credit card and she's like, I don't even know. I don't even know what's happening with that card. And I go, I need you to look at that credit card. I need you to look at that credit card and go back as far as you have to find out what it was that you swiped that card that you bought and why have you been avoiding it? And it was a similar story. She said, I was dating a guy and he made fun of me, or he made a couple of comments that he liked big breasts, and I went and I used this card to get breast implants. And shortly after, they broke up. And so now she has this debt that she's carrying, not only because she, you know, it's a high credit card. I think she spent like 10 grand. She went to like one of the best doctors in all of Miami to get them done because, of course, you know, whatever. But the energy behind it was because she didn't want to look at that debt because it reminded her of a poor choice, of an emotion that she was carrying inside her heart of, you know, I did this so that somebody could love me. I did this so that somebody would see me differently, and it didn't work. And now she has shame around that debt, around that credit card. And it wasn't until we worked on healing that energy, forgiving the ex-boyfriend, you know, forgiving herself for allowing someone else.
First.
Exactly.
Forgiving herself first, because we make our own decisions. Eso yo le digo a todo el mundo.
Yeah.
We can't blame everybody else. No, we made that decision, right, and now we're deflecting.
Yep.
To blame somebody else.
Yep. But it's a total, you know, for her, it was a total healing, you know, because it was a breakup and all these things. So it's a process. So yeah, absolutely. Forgiving herself for not feeling worthy, for not feeling like she was good enough, for allowing someone else to make her feel that way, and then impacting her relationship with money and impacting her financial situation negatively and carrying over this debt. So it's very, very interesting. Like you said, what we learned from our parents, everything that's going on right now, people are still having to realize, what are we doing all of this for? Like, who are we showing off to? You know, what's the purpose of spending, you know, $1,000 on a Louis Vuitton bag for what? Now, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? Wear it to the kitchen?
And we live in a society here in Miami that is very much like it. Many outsiders do not understand our lifestyle, Sandy, and you know what? We can't blame them. Right now, actually, you know what state has the best credit score?
Which one?
Take a wild guess. Go. See.
Wisconsin.
Well, that's pretty close. That's actually pretty close. Good job. Minnesota. The average credit score in Minnesota is 740. One of the main reasons is there's no need to show off.
Yeah.
Están ahí en el frío. They don't need to show off. It's only us here that we have the perfect weather. We need to have the perfect clothing, the perfect car, and you know, and us men, we wanna be accepted by you ladies, so we wanna show off a bit, you know.
Oh, and us girls, we want to look good too. It's mutual. It's mutual. But it's so true because Miami is so vain, and everything is really just a matter of keeping up, and you know who looks better, who has the best this, who has the best that. It's very competitive, and you're right. Because I tell people all the time, like everybody comes to Miami and they just think that we're in a constant rap video. Like you just want to be, you know, constantly in the fancy cars on the beach. You want to be on Ocean Drive. You want to be there in the Gables. You want to be at Hillstone. You want to go to all these, you know, downtown. You want to be in Brickell. I mean, it's very, because we're such a mecca for tourism. And so, you know, we get caught up in this vacation lifestyle and we put ourselves into debt to impress people that we don't even like.
And imagine if we don't like them, that means that we're not liking ourselves. Like literally, you and I would just turning this into therapy.
I know, but you know what?
You and I just turn this into therapy.
It's true, but when we talk about money, it's important, and that's why I felt it was so important to talk to you, because your perspective on money and the way that you see money is similar to the way I see it, because you advise people from a entire perspective. And essentially you're similar doing to what I do, is you're looking at people's energies. You're looking at people's mindset, their habits, their behaviors. What's happening? Why did you get into this hole? How are you going to do this again? How are you going to make sure that you don't do it again? So essentially, yeah, what we do is therapy, because we're doing credit counseling. We're doing financial literacy. We're helping people understand how their energy and their thoughts shape.
And I will tell you this. Were you born here in Miami, Sandy?
I was actually born in Puerto Rico. My parents are Cuban.
Puerto Rico.
But yeah, but I've been raised here my entire life. I came when I was 6 months old.
What I've seen a lot with our clients, with our Hispanic clients, Sandy, and then I start seeing how they're spending money and stuff like that. And literally goes down to our childhood. If you want to talk about therapy, it goes to childhood, right? Yes. And it goes to, we didn't have money, Sandy. Yo no tenía esto. I didn't have cars. No tenía esto. So now they come over here. They're working, and they're generating a bit of money. So now they're like, me lo merezco. And I'm not saying you don't, because everybody does. But we overdo it because we're trying to fill a void from our past, from our childhood past. So it's yes, we are to blame. Pero también we are to blame because we're not trying to get better tampoco.
Right.
So we are to blame, but also we are to blame because we're not getting better. If we know we have these insecurities, let's live them up. Let's say, okay, that happened, that passed, and how we're going to make this better so that dog doesn't bite us again.
It's true.
Porque la primera vez que te muerden no es tu culpa. La segunda vez, then it is your fault.
Yeah.
And you're inviting it again. So you're playing, you're playing that wild game that nobody's teaching you. Nobody's teaching you this because they want you to get into that. Like right now, another thing, Sandy, I don't know if you've seen this. When the financial downturn happens, a lot of companies, a lot of credit card companies start rolling out the 0% balance transfers. Their interest, balance transfer. And they're awesome. If you can manage them, they're awesome. But think about it. Why are they sending you that, Sandy? What is that company gaining by sending you that?
Well, they're gaining a new client, number one, and they're hoping that you mess up, you miss a payment, or you do something, and then you get the default rate.
And what's the default rate? Do you know, Sandy?
Most times it's like 24.99%.
Correct. So you went from 0% to 24%. Que aumentaste todo.
Yeah.
And the default rate, just so you know this, just so you have this in your back pocket, the default rate of those clients that do a balance transfer is an 80%.
Wow.
And it's not that they don't have the money, Sandy. Se le olvidó.
Yeah. That's true.
Se le olvidó to make a payment.
They
It's not
forget.
that they don't have the money. I have many clients over here that come in. They have all the money in the world and their credit's not good.
Yep.
Because se le olvidó, because they don't have a system to remind them of making payments. They don't have an assistant that makes the payments, or no tienen la, you know, their significant other that helps them with that. They don't have a system. In other words, they don't have a system.
Yeah.
And then they get bit. So now that interest rate climbs up, and then your credit score drops 100 points.
So let me ask you a question. So the late payment, you mean, is what lowers your credit score? Yeah. Okay.
So the late payment lowers your credit score, and that late payment just surcharged you 24% more. So look at the double whammy.
Yeah. Adding insult to injury, as we call it. Insult to injury.
And that's why they do it, Sandy. That's why they do it. They're very wise. So if we know how to play the game, we can exceed in it.
Right.
Let's say I teach you how to play soccer. I give you a soccer ball, but if I don't teach you, how can you be successful? But now if I teach you what the rules, the little tricks, what to do, then you're going to be able to play. But nobody's teaching us, Sandy. This is where you and I come in to play, and we're adding value.
It's true.
But we need to learn.
No, I agree. I appreciate so much, Chris, everything that you're doing. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to add? I know that people are going to be very, very curious to get a hold of you. Do you work locally? Are you available nationally? Tell us, who is your ideal client? Where could people reach you? How are you available?
So I'm here in Coral Gables, Florida. So I am local, but we also work nationwide. So we do all the credit advisement. We do it by Zoom. We all do it by email. We have great communications. They can reach me at my number. It's 305-951-8381. That is the office number. You can reach us also by email. You have my email there, Sandy, that you can share as well.
And I will put it in the comments, but why don't you go ahead and just say it out loud, so when I put it in the comments, it'll read while you say it.
It is Chris Colston at 2ndchancecredit.net. So
Perfect.
Chris Colston at secondchancecredit.net.
.net, that's very important. Not .com.
.com, you will not reach me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chris, for getting on this call with me today. This has probably been one of my favorite conversations, because obviously I love talking about money. I love talking about the energy behind it, and I
have great energy, by the way.
Thank you. And I really, really love your concept. I really love the way that you are truly helping clients. I think that you have a spectacular niche, and I love the fact that you're really setting yourself apart as a credit advisor, and not a credit repair company. And it's very, very important. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep educating people. Keep sharing your message. I am your fan. So I will also make sure that you tag me in anything that you're doing. Obviously, for you guys watching, I will post all this information on how to reach Chris, and obviously his social media handles. How can people find you on social media? Where are you at?
So we got IG, we got Facebook, and we got LinkedIn, and we also got Twitter.
Okay, so what is the handle? How can they find you on Instagram, Facebook? What are they?
So the Instagram is Second Chance Credit. Same thing for Facebook, Second Chance Credit. The LinkedIn, the same thing, Second Chance Credit. And then, the Twitter, Second Chance Credit. And LinkedIn, it will be my name, Chris Colston.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you watching, stay tuned, look out for me, and check out the next episode when it launches in the next few days. Don't hang up, Chris. Thank you.